makes me rich, tax-free. And that's where financial education kicks in. This stuff they teach kids to put your money in a mutual fund, I'm glad they do that because that's where I get my money from. That's really the second side of the coin.
Okay, explain that to people.
Well, there's two kinds of people. You either park your money, which is savings and pensions, and people who move their money. This, in my world of finance, is called the velocity of money. I want my money back as soon as possible so I can buy another asset, and I mean an asset, not stocks, bonds, or mutual funds. So I'm constantly moving my money, and what the system, the banking system, does is programs you to park your money. So you put it into savings, and they save, and then you put it in a retirement plan, let's say starting at 25, and you hope it's there at 65. I do not do that. And a financial education would teach you how debt and taxes make the rich richer. And that's all I'm saying to people when I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I said, your house is not an asset. It's the bank's asset. And if you could wake up to that, oh, no, you don't know what you're talking about. And now we have people who are walking away from their mortgages because the mortgage is worth more than the house. And that's what a little financial education, these guys wouldn't be able to brainwash you as easy. I'm not saying they're good or bad people. I'm saying if you don't know, somebody's going to pick your pocket.
And your books quantify that down to fine detail, but give people the basics, as they're saying, what is this Robert, talking about? What is he saying here? I mean, tell us what you do with your money and what the rich do with their money. Okay,
first of all, there's two books people should read if they want to understand Rich Dad. Rich Dad, Poor Dad was really the basics. And Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a book on accounting, but it sold 24 million copies because it explains what our school system doesn't teach you, even in accounting classes. And the second book is a book called the Cashflow Quadrant. And the quadrant is the four people that make up the world of money. The E quadrant stands for employees, so you could be a CEO or a janitor. The trouble with the E quadrant is that's the second highest tax of all the quadrants. That started in 1943 as the Current Tax Payment Act, which went against the Constitution. And they could tax, the government got paid before the employee got paid. Now, the next quadrant is the S quadrant, which stands for small business, self-employed, or specialist, like a doctor or a lawyer. The tax laws changed for them in 1986 with the Tax Reform Act. And they were just, that was part of the Reagan thing. They were trying to collect more taxes. On the right side of the quadrant, there's B, and B stands for big business, 500 employees or more, and I stands for investor. There's an investor class. Now, many people invest, like they invest in a mutual fund, but they invest, but they're not investors. Investors are pure capitalists because they're always raising capital. So for a guy like me, since I have more than 500 employees, and I'm always raising capital via debt and things like that, I pay no tax. See, if you look at the tax code, the Internal Revenue Tax Code, most of the code is how to avoid taxes. But the trouble is, if you go to school and you're taught by the socialists of the school system, they're actually teaching you to be the proletariat, the working class, working for the bourgeois, the rich. And I don't want to be bourgeois. I just want to be a capitalist. I don't want to pay all that tax. See, the government needs guys like me who provides jobs, and I have large apartment houses, and I have oil wells. I produce constantly. So the tax laws are written for me, except the school system doesn't tell you about the other side of the coin. So how are you, physically, live in nice houses, have a lot of money, sell, tens of millions of books, but then not pay any taxes? Well, because debt and taxes are written for people on the B and the I side of the quadrant. You see, you have to, when 1973, I came back from Vietnam. I was a Marine helicopter pilot, went down 3 times. I refused to fight anymore. I'd had it, because I knew I was being lied to by my government. So I come home and I asked my poor dad, the head of education, what should I do? He says, why don't you go fly for the airlines? And I said, well, then I become a pawn of the system. So with that, I went to listen to my rich dad and became an entrepreneur because I did understand a little bit about tax incentives and investing and like this. So I took up real estate courses starting in 1973 because you have to learn to manage debt. Because as you know, is after 71, the dollar became debt. So you have to learn to manage debt. So today I borrow millions of dollars tax-free. I buy these apartment houses. They're 100% financed. And I've done this most of my life. I have no equity into the property. And the more I use bank money, OPM, the less I pay in taxes. Then I get things like depreciation, amortization, and those other tax incentives because I provide large apartment houses because the government needs housing for people. Also, I get tax incentives for oil production. I don't buy oil stocks. Like I would never touch Exxon or BP shares. What I want is a percentage of the production. So when the prices of oil go up, I make more money. It goes down, I still make money. Because the moment, let's say I invest $100,000 in oil production, I get a 28% return on my capital instantaneously.
Tell you what, stay there. Let's continue to quantify this with Robert Kiyosaki of RichDad.com. I'm Alex Jones of PrisonPlanet.com. Stay with us.
Most Americans believe famine and hunger will never happen. But what if, day 1, mayhem breaks out at grocery stores? Day 3, families are on edge.
Don't holler at me, just don't
Day 5, the neighbors come knocking. Day 10, small bands of thieves begin stealing at gunpoint. Day 15, desperation, but the government can't help because there's no food left. Introducing the grab-and-go emergency food supply from Solutions from Science. 84 delicious, nutritious food servings, including breakfast, lunch, and dinner entrees. Enough to feed 4 adults for a week. Every meal 100% vegetarian for longer shelf life. Claim your grab-and-go emergency food supply today at foodshortagesolutions.com. That's foodshortagesolutions.com. Or call 877-327-0365. 877-327-0365. Grab-and-go emergency food supply. Better a year too soon than one day too late.
The question is, where should the American people draw their line in the sand?
What have we got? A republic or a monarchy?
A republic
is based on a constitution which protects minority rights.
Not democracy, not mob rule, 2 wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner.
So they think they own our land, they think they own our water, children, our education, our money.
We have to define who we are and what we will tolerate.
Somebody's going to ask you what you did during the Patriot Uprising.
You have been warned.
We have the facts. We have the Constitution. We have the Bill of Rights. We have common law. Knowledge is power, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm so excited to be able to offer you Don't Tread on Me, Rise of the Republic. Tyranny is upon us, but liberty and the sleeping giant that is the American people is rising. A new tool in the info war. Don't Tread on Me. Order it at Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139 and support independent, patriotic Liberty films.
In a coming-apart world, you need something to keep it tied together. That something is Atwood Rope, the highest quality rope made in the USA, from exotic braids for military, rescue, arborists, boating, tow line, shipyard, or decoration. Quality rope at affordable prices you and your customers can depend on. Find a dealer or shop online at atwoodrope.net. Enter promo code RADIO to receive a free 100 feet of 550 paracord. Atwood Rope, working to keep the world tied together.
Go solar for cheap. Want to use solar power but the price is too high? Now you can build your own solar panels for less than $200 at 123cheapsolar.com. Don't laugh. We've sold over 45,000 solar do-it-yourself kits. Watch the step-by-step videos that even non-handyman types can use. We offer a 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to 123cheapsolar.com or call 800-713-0486. 800-713-0486. Reduce your foreign oil dependency when you go green with 123cheapsolar.com.
Who is Sam Andy? Sam Andy Foods is life insurance in a can. Life insurance you can eat. Sam Andy Foods has been serving loyal customers worldwide for over 50 years. Why so long? Simple. Sam Andy Foods have perfected the taste and quality of low-moisture foods. Foods that last 15 to 25 years. And that's made us an industry leader among families, sportsmen, outdoorsmen, churches, schools, people living in remote areas, U.S. troops in wartime, and many others. Sam Andy is America's leading supplier of over 100 high-quality, low-moisture products and everything you need to survive in any emergency. Visit SamAndy.com today for your free full-color catalog and free trial subscription to the Survival Times newsletter. That's SamAndy.com. Just like it sounds, SamAndy.com. Or call toll-free 1-888-331-0358. Your one-stop shop for everything your family needs to prepare for any emergency. Sam Andy Foods. Life insurance in a can.
Robert Kiyosaki is our guest. Robert, for the average person who can't buy oil well operations or drilling operations, the average person who can't buy big apartment houses, and most people actually know in Austin who've done well over time, that's exactly what they do. What does the average person start doing to get in the right quadrant?
That's a great question. My whole shtick is, why don't we have financial education in our schools? You see, that's where it starts, and that's where the brainwashing begins. You talk about InfoWars.
When I was in public school, that's all they taught me was how great 401ks. I'm sorry, you said that's where the InfoWars starts.
No, it's like, the NEA, the National Education Association, Forbes calls them the National Extortion Association. And they really are agents of the ultra-rich to prevent people from knowing how the tax and debt systems work. So all I did was, having a rich dad who didn't go to school, it's my best friend's father, he kind of helped me crack the code. And I began to understand why there's no financial education in our schools. Why do they try and control the media all the time? And I got to be very suspicious. And I'm not against our troops, but I went to Vietnam twice, and I realized I was being lied to. And so that's when I kind of woke up and said, okay, I'm going to listen to my rich dad. I'm going to find out what's really going on. So that's all I do. When I write Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I say your house is not an asset. I got hate mail from my friends who are realtors. I didn't say don't buy a house. It says it's not an asset. And in 2002, I wrote Rich Dad's Prophecy, and it was about the biggest stock market crash in history that's still coming, and it's about the 401k. And at that time, the Wall Street Journal, Smart Money, and Money Magazine just hung me up the flagpole, and it was the second crucifixion. I was like, jeez.
I remember.
Yeah, I get crucified by those guys. And then today, our school systems still bring in the bankers and tell you to save money, and they still bring in the financial planners and tell you to put your money in a 401k for the long term. And I'm saying there's another side to that. That's where I make my money, is on ignorance. And all I do in Rich Dad is just say, this is the other side. It's a free country. Make your choice.
Okay, so you're somebody making $200,000 a year, keeping about $100,000 after taxes. What does Robert Kiyosaki do?
I would take a class, in 1973, I took classes on real estate. I don't, residential real estate, I meet these idiots like my accountant. He says, yeah, I'm a real estate investor. I own a house. I said, no, you're a consumer. You're not an investor. No, I'm an investor. But they're such morons. They know nothing about tax code and all this stuff and property management and all the things that make you rich. So I started off back in 1973, a little one-bedroom, one-bath condo on the beach of Maui. And that's where it began. Today I own about 4,000 units, 5 golf courses, luxury hotels, oil production throughout the world, and businesses throughout the world, gold mines and silver mines. But I didn't listen to the school system, and that's the difference.
Well, that's like 10 years ago. They said, do not buy gold and silver. It's a bad investment. They're still saying it. But to 1980 inflation, it's supposed to be $2,500 an ounce.
You should have seen me. I was in 2000 on CNBC, and they said, what are you investing? I said, gold. They said, that's stupid. It's $275 an ounce. I said, that's smart. But they don't want gold to go up, as you know, because it means the fiat currency of the world is going to come apart.
And when it does, gold's going to the moon.
And right now, if you don't have much money, I've been saying this for years because I'm actually a silver buff. Silver is the best investment of all because it's a consumable precious metal, whereas gold is hoarded. For the first time in the history of the world, there is more gold than silver on planet Earth. So silver is a bargain, even at $25. And I hear these morons tell me I don't have any money. I said, Jesus, $25, you don't have that, you're in big trouble.
Well, silver was $5.50, $6 10 years ago. It's at almost 25 an ounce right now. Right. I'd say that's a pretty good investment. And anybody could start buying $1 silver a month. I mean, come on.
Yes, exactly right. And I think silver is the biggest sleeper of all. I've been saying this for years. And, you know, everybody watches gold. I have lots of gold. I have a gold mine in China. I have a silver mine in South America. But silver, because I'm in the industry, I understand who buys my silver. It's industry.
That's right. It's used in manufacturing, you name it.
Water purification, electronics, every computer, every cell phone.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I've read a lot of numbers and statistics. I've seen reports that they're now selling more gold than they are